Most people have no idea what really goes into selling a business, and then a common question I get from a lot of business owners is, can I even sell my business, right? Is it worth anything? How do you value the business? What does the process look like? And so I wanted to use a real world example, real life example on a more unique business that we sold for a past client of ours, just to show you how there is a buyer for everything, right? So this client was he's located in Texas. He owned a manufacturing business, and it was specifically CNC sheet metal manufacturing. Clients ranging from government contracts to railroad, even some aerospace. And basically what they did was manufactured certain parts or components from sheet metal for all these different clients of theirs. And so he had been in business for, gosh, 30, I think it was 30 to 35 years. And he was now in his upper 70s, low 80s, ready to retire. His son worked with him in the business. Now, just from that information alone, you would say, okay, this is a pretty valuable business. This probably got a lot of attention. But the problem was, before I get to the problem, yes, it was a great business, in a great industry, in a great location, and it had the experience, right? It wasn't a brand new business that they just started. They had been around. They only used word of mouth. So a lot of boxes were being checked. However, he was not the best with tracking his financials, right? This was an older gentleman who was still doing a lot of his bookkeeping on an old computer. And the issue was that we didn't have very good financials to go off of, right? Really, if any. And at one point, this business was running with 15 to 20 employees at its peak, and they were doing 15 to 20 million in revenue, I believe at one point is what he was telling me. That was several years ago, but that's when he really should have sold. It would have been an insane valuation on his business. But since then, he started to wind down, and he didn't know that he could sell his business. He didn't know that was an option. And so the next 10 years after they were at their peak, he started to wind down because he was going to get ready for retirement, and it was just becoming a lot. He was very involved in the business still. He liked to be out in the warehouse and be involved in making these different components and different specialized products for their clients. So by the time he was hitting that wall, he said, you know what, I'm done, I want to sell, which is a very common time in business owners' lives when I get phone calls is, hey, I'm ready to retire, I'm done. And sometimes these individuals don't have proper exit planning in place, and unfortunately results in them missing out on hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars. So in this case, it was a tough sale because he didn't keep his financial records, just to put it bluntly, right? He didn't have any documents or paperwork he could give us. And so initially I just thought this is going to be really difficult. I went out and I walked the facility with him. He told me some of his clients. He was a very proud owner. It was a really nice place. But the issue was businesses are valued off of a multiple of what they earn, that earnings metric. And so some people value it or measure that earnings metric with EBITDA, which is earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization, before you pay those things, or SDE, which is seller discretionary earnings. So really you want to just look at the bottom line number, and a multiple is getting applied to that bottom line number, and that gives us our valuation or purchase price type of range, right? Obviously there's other variables and other factors that come into play here, but I knew without having numbers to run that equation off of, we weren't going to have a value for this business, although there is still value there. There's customers there, there's contracts in place. He has a location in a desirable area, and he's in a really good industry, right? And so I knew there was value there. We just couldn't use the numbers, and so we definitely had a big hurdle in front of us. And he was looking to sell for $3 million and not a dollar less. And I had to have several difficult conversations with him, just stating that this is going to be really tough because there's no numbers to base that $3 million off of, outside of maybe the real estate component with an appraisal. And so we had to shift gears into pitching this business to strategic buyers. And when I say strategic buyers, I mean people already in this industry, or it somehow complements their business if they were to buy his business. So instead of just listing his business on all these listing platforms, which any broker can do, we decided to take a more strategic approach in finding strategic buyers. So finding business owners that were also in the manufacturing space, the sheet metal manufacturing space, the CNC manufacturing space, because this was going to be an opportunity for them to expand geographically, right? Or to absorb his clients and add that revenue, and then they can start to organize and fill out their books with the revenue that he was bringing in. So after several conversations about the $3 million asking price, decided to give it a go just to show him, you know, he wasn't necessarily in a rush, and so we said, okay, we'll put it out there. And lo and behold, it was one of our most popular listings. Again, we figured that was going to happen with the location and the industry and the time that he's been in business for. But the asking prices were coming in much lower, right? And so fast forward a few months later, had another conversation with him. He started to understand, you know, really the mistake of not organizing his books and keeping track of financials and how that hit his purchase price. And so when I say proper exit planning can save you hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars, this is a perfect example of that being the case, because there were no numbers to point to and to justify any asking price, right? This was just really a strategic play for a buyer. And so it eliminated a huge buyer pool. It eliminated all of the financial buyers looking for an ROI, buyers combing through financials to see if we put X down, what are we going to get back in return, so then we can sell in 10 to 12 years. It eliminated all of those buyers, and so now we had a much smaller pool of buyers to work with. But we worked with it, right? And that was the whole point. So I put a heavy focus on finding these strategic buyers within Texas, maybe up in Oklahoma, in the surrounding areas where I saw that this could be a benefit to these potential buyers' businesses. And we were able to find somebody who actually owned a similar manufacturing business down south from where he was, maybe about an hour, 2 hours south of where his location was. He came up to visit it. We did several tours of the business, have several questions. Obviously, I had to explain to him we don't have many financial records to provide to you. However, we believe this would be a very complementary, synergistic business for your business if you were to buy it and merge the two together or roll it up into his existing business. You know, and after several weeks, this process takes a long time. He gave me a call and said, I think we're actually going to move forward on this because he needs spillover area and manpower to actually finish, or I guess complete projects for his clients that they currently were not able to handle because they were having an overflow of work. So fast forward from there, we were able to get a deal done for less than the $3 million that the client was originally asking for, but we got him a very desirable asking price after that he was comfortable with. And we were able to sell his manufacturing business, his sheet metal manufacturing business, for a multi-million-dollar deal without really having any financials to show on the business. And so really the point of this story is, one, exit planning can actually save you millions of dollars. In this case, it lost him about $1 million, a little over $1 million without having that. Maybe it did, maybe it didn't, but I believe having the numbers to justify the $3 million, if the numbers were actually correct and at the appropriate range to apply the multiple to achieve that $3 million, then yes. And so we just didn't know if they were there or not. So I guess I can't say that, but it did save him hundreds of thousands of dollars, or it could have if he did proper exit planning and took the time to clean everything up over the past 3 to 5 years to have financial records to show to potential buyers. So the point of this is to do proper exit planning, have clean financial records, but also secondly, there are buyers out there for really anything. You just have to be able to find them. You have to be able to show them the value in your business and how it can complement their business, or how they have potential growth opportunities if they are a financial buyer, and how they can buy this, grow it up, and then sell it in 10 to 12 years for themselves. So always hurdles, everyday hurdles with selling businesses, but I do think it's extremely important to stay optimistic throughout the entire process, because it is a very emotional roller coaster ride when you do sell your business. A lot of ups and downs. We had several people come in and submit offers where he got excited, they walked away, he was down in the dumps. I shouldn't say down in the dumps, but it was a bummer. and then we were back to square one. We did that several times, right? And this took us, I think, about 8 to 10 months to sell the business, with a lot of ups and downs throughout the way. We spoke to several different buyers until we had to realize we had to shift gears and go towards a specific type of buyer. So just expect a roller coaster, but if there's really one thing I can say is have proper exit planning and stay optimistic, because there is a buyer out there. If you're wondering if your business is going to sell or not, you just have to think of what are the opportunities in your business, whether it's financial or strategic, and then from there you have to go after those pool of buyers. So I hope this helps. If you're a business owner, you're getting ready to sell, looking to sell, if you have any questions on that or the process of selling your business, feel free to let me know in the comments. I'm happy to answer them. I'm a business broker. I'm the founder of Kelleher Acquisitions here in Texas. So this is what I do for a living. So I'm happy to answer any questions, have any free consultation calls with you guys. So you can go ahead and subscribe to this channel, and I'll keep making content like this that'll be helpful and beneficial for business owners.